The business dies months before anyone notices, not from competition, not from market shifts, from something quieter that nobody was watching closely enough. By the end, you'll understand why the strongest companies collapse from the inside and why the shift happens so silently that even leaders miss it. Because power doesn't announce when it's leaving, it just quietly relocates to someone who didn't earn it, doesn't deserve it, and won't use it well. Every business starts with clear power. Someone builds it, someone owns the vision, someone makes final decisions, and everyone knows exactly who that is. Information flows cleanly, problems get surfaced immediately. Bad ideas die in conversation before they waste resources. Good ideas reach execution without political filtering constantly. And the success feels earned collectively, not because everyone contributed equally, but because the structure made contribution visible and power legitimate and accountable. Then the company grows. New hires, new departments, new layers between the people who understand the business and the people who decide its direction. The founder hires executives with impressive resumes, people from bigger companies, people who've scaled before, people who promise to bring operational excellence and discipline. And those executives arrive with frameworks, processes, best practices from their previous companies, systems designed to create order at scale nobody's reached yet. The founder feels relief initially. Finally, professionals who can handle the complexity. People who free them up to focus on vision and strategy exclusively. So they step back from daily operations, from hiring decisions, from the thousand small choices that actually define how the company functions and what it values. And this feels like progress, like maturity, like the natural evolution of a company transitioning from startup chaos to sustainable professionalized operation finally. There's a specific moment that happens about 4 months after the new executives arrive. An early employee notices something wrong with the core product. They try to raise it to leadership, but leadership now means layers. They send it to their manager, who sends it up the chain properly. And at each layer, the message gets translated, softened, reframed to fit existing narratives about quarterly goals and strategic priorities already set in stone. By the time it reaches the founder, it's data without urgency, a metric to track, not a problem demanding immediate attention or strategic reconsideration. And here's where the silent shift begins. People stop going to the founder for decisions because the executives have been given authority to decide. The founder still has formal power, still signs off on budgets and strategy. But the options they're choosing between are pre-filtered by people with different incentives. The executives start forming their own power center, not through conspiracy, just through proximity, shared backgrounds, and natural tendency to protect their collective authority. Meetings before the meeting become where real decisions happen. The founder joins later to ratify what's already been decided. Their input becomes theoretical rather than operational. And access to the founder gets controlled by the executives, not maliciously, just efficiently, protecting the founder's time from operational noise and distraction. So the founder becomes increasingly isolated from ground truth, surrounded by executives whose power depends on maintaining the narrative that everything's running smoothly and professionally. The first resignation that matters happens quietly, not someone famous, just someone who actually understood why the company existed beyond quarterly revenue targets. They tell HR everything in the exit interview. The cultural shift, how good ideas die in process now, how the executives optimize for metrics that destroy the actual value. But that feedback gets filtered through executives who are the subject of the criticism, who have no incentive to surface information that questions their contribution. The founder learns about it later, asks why the person didn't raise concerns directly, doesn't realize that path was systematically closed months ago without their knowledge. And it's not just one person. Over the next quarter, more early employees leave, the ones who remember what the company was trying to be originally. They get replaced by people hired through the executives' networks, people loyal to the executives' vision of professionalized operations, not the founder's original purpose completely. And here's what makes it invisible. The business keeps growing. Revenue increases. The metrics that investors care about all point in positive directions still. But underneath, things are changing. Customer satisfaction drifts downward. Product innovation slows. The magic that made customers evangelical quietly disappears from the experience completely. The executives don't notice because their incentives are quarterly. They're optimizing for numbers that make their next career move possible, not long-term sustainability or mission. The founder doesn't notice because they're seeing filtered reality. Presentations that tell the story the executives need them to believe to maintain current power structure. And the mechanisms that should surface truth, employee surveys, customer feedback, all get processed through the same people who benefit from obscuring uncomfortable patterns. Even the board sees what the executives want them to see, because the founder is presenting the executive's version of reality, believing its objective truth. This is where the damage becomes irreversible. What comes next is the moment the founder realizes they've lost something they can never actually get back. The moment of recognition arrives suddenly. The founder tries to make a decision, a real decision, aligned with original values, and discovers they can't execute it. The executives raise concerns, valid-sounding concerns, about process, timing, resources, stakeholder management, things that sound responsible but function as vetoes they never requested. And the founder realizes this isn't new. How many times has this happened before? How many of their directives got quietly redirected or delayed into irrelevance? They start looking back through communications, decisions they thought were made, changes they requested, all acknowledged, all somehow never quite implemented the way they intended. The founder tries to go around the executives, reach employees directly, but those employees have learned the system. They defer to their managers instinctively and immediately. And when the founder tries to assert direct authority, the organization treats it like a disruption, something to manage and contain, not a legitimate reclamation of power. The founder goes to the board, tries to explain, but the board sees successful metrics. They suggest the founder is struggling to let go appropriately. Because the executives have been managing the board relationship too, presenting themselves as the steady hands managing a visionary founder who needs operational partnership and guidance. And here's the horrible truth. The founder still owns the company. On paper they have complete control, but operationally they're a figurehead with veto power they can't use, because using that power means firing the entire executive team, creating chaos, admitting to the board and investors that they made catastrophic hiring decisions years ago. Or they can stay quiet, let the executives run it, watch the company they built transform into something profitable but soulless, something they wouldn't have created. Some founders fight, they bring in lawyers, they restructure ruthlessly, they accept the chaos and the damage and the board's concerns about their judgment. And sometimes they win. They reclaim operational control. But the company that emerges is smaller, wounded, and missing the people who made it special originally. Other founders surrender the daily battle. Take a chairman role, focus on strategy. Watch their creation become a case study in professional management, destroying entrepreneurial magic. Some sell, frame it as successful exit, but really it's escape. Getting paid for something they'd already lost control of but nobody outside had noticed yet. And a very few, a rare few, catch it early enough, before the power shifts completely, when they can still reset the structure without destroying everything. They make the difficult choice. Let impressive people go. Except that scaling doesn't require giving away power to people who don't share the core vision fundamentally. They find a different path, slower maybe, but one where growth doesn't require surrendering the connection between power, vision, and execution that made success possible initially. The difference isn't visible in quarterly earnings. Both companies might show growth, but one is building towards something sustainable. The other is already dying internally. Because the silent power shift doesn't just change who makes decisions, it changes what decisions are possible, what the company optimizes for, what it becomes fundamentally. So if you're building something, watch for the signals. When information starts flowing around you instead of to you, when decisions feel predetermined before you weigh in, when people start scheduling meetings to prepare for meetings with you, when your calendar gets controlled by people whose power depends on controlling your access completely. Because power doesn't disappear when you delegate authority, it just moves, and where it moves determines whether you're building your vision or funding someone else's career. The silent shift ends businesses before they fail. The question is whether you'll notice it happening, or just wonder later how you lost something you never meant to give away.